Hello and welcome to this week's edition of BS with AJ. This week I'm going to be showing you how to print an image onto wood. Stick around. Alright, for this project you're going to need some water-based polyurethane or polyacrylic. You're going to need a brush of some sort. I just picked up a cheap one from our local hardware store. You're going to need the piece of wood you're going to be transferring your image to, and you're going to use a laser jet printer for this process. If you use an inkjet printer, it's going to bleed the colors. It's going to look faded when you do this, if it even works. So I don't suggest that. Definitely use a laser jet printer. Now, as you can see here, I've got two different print offs here. This is the way you would normally print something so you can read it, like you can right now. But for this process, we're going to be flipping our image upside down, so it's going to actually end up looking like this whenever we go through this process. So what you want to do is go on your computer and flip the image around backwards, just like I have here, so that way when we go through the process, it turns out to where you can actually read it. This process is pretty simple. You're basically just going to take a little bit of your water-based polyurethane and you're going to lightly coat the piece of wood you're using. You want to make sure it's dust-free and there isn't anything you don't want on there, of course. So we're just going to put a real thin layer on this board here. Make sure we spread it out pretty thin. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and take our image, just kind of set it on there, and you want to work the air bubbles out. Now I suggest using some type of squeegee. What I've got here is just a piece of stiff foam that I use for body work. So I mean, you could use just a regular squeegee or a piece of wood or whatever, just to try and get the air bubbles out. You can really use a credit card if you want. But now we got all the air bubbles out, and now we just need to let it set and dry. You want to go according to what your can says. Mine says to dry at least for 2 hours. So we'll do that. We'll let it set for a couple hours, and then we're going to come back and work on this some more. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use an old toothbrush and some water, and we're going to go ahead and wet this down first. We'll wet it down all around it. Let it soak in a little bit. And then we're going to take this toothbrush and start working the paper off. We'll start kind of rubbing around here, trying to get all that paper to come off. And it should leave our image. Alright, so here's an example of brushing too hard with your toothbrush to try and get that paper off. As you can see, there are several spots where it actually rubbed the toner off along with the paper. And that's not what you want. You just want to get just the paper off. So you definitely want to be gentle with your toothbrush. If you start seeing stuff like that, stop using the toothbrush and start using your fingers. We're going to try this again, and we're going to try and get a better one out of it and not rub as hard with our toothbrush here. Alright, and here's our final product. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and let this dry off. We're going to wipe it down with a rag real quick, let it dry out real good, and then we're going to take some more water-based polyurethane and put a protective coating over this. So that way, it keeps it protected, keeps anything from rubbing it off or anything like that. Hey guys, here's our final product. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I post new videos each week. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down in the comment section below. And consider supporting BS with AJ on Patreon so we can do bigger and better projects for you guys. We'll see you next week.